My name is Dion Borg. I am the General Manager for CCLAS EL for Datamine based here in Brisbane. And today's webinar is going to be about the CCLAS EL Velox model. So it's our LIM system, and Velox stands for Rapid in Latin. And we're going to talk about our low-cost rapid deployment model, which is Velox. So CCLAS is part of Datamine's Intelligent Mining Solutions suite of software. So CCLAS is the laboratory information management system specifically designed for the mining and metals industry. We also have Minescape, which is the geological modeling software for coal and metal ferrous deposits. MineMarket is our product for inventory, logistics, and marketing. We also have production accounting, which is our metal accounting software package for mining and metal processing. So as an overview, LIM systems, so the whole point of having a LIM system in your laboratory is to produce quality results in the shortest possible time frame in the most efficient manner. So the whole point of a LIM system is to save you time in your day-to-day duties inside your laboratory by automating a lot of those processes. So as standard functionality for CCLAS, we have sample registration, instrument interfacing, management of your instruments, quality management, automatic task scheduling of operations inside the laboratory, reporting that shows you laboratory management and KPIs, the management of your CRMs, your certified reference materials or QC materials with all your limits. And we're able to obviously produce barcode labels and work lists so users know what to analyze their samples for. Obviously, we've got a wide range of analytical instruments and balances, which we have done captures with before, as long as standard analytical reports and commercial invoices. So from a benefits point of view, if we look at the different roles in an organization, from a laboratory manager's point of view, CCLAS provides some clarity around your sample tracking, so find out where your samples are in the laboratory at any one time. They can also easily look at costs from different areas of the laboratories. Also, there are alerts can be configured when instruments are not performing correctly. And obviously in a laboratory, there's a lot of instrumentation in wet chemical laboratories that produce a lot of numbers. So it's important that CCLAS automatically capture these numbers, so there's no cutting and pasting of data, which would obviously create which can create errors. And obviously that data, if it's captured automatically, you have confidence in the quality of that data. From a chemist or analyst point of view, they have got a structured workflow management. They can look at the statistics of their quality control samples or your CRM samples. And then laboratory work lists can dynamically change based on the samples that are registered if they are more urgent. So from an IT infrastructure point of view, if your company goes with some of the IMS suite products, obviously there's easy integration between our products. And one of the most important requirements of ISO 17025 for accreditation requirements for laboratories is personnel management. So CCLAS has a security model whereby lab analysts only have the ability to enter or validate data for those testing procedures which they have been trained for. Very important from an accreditation point of view. So from an operations point of view, for metallurgists, geologists, plant controllers, they have quick and easy access to assay results through production reports. There's integration with other plant systems. So we've integrated with PI through our CHD, which stands for CCLAS Historical Database. I'll talk about that a little bit later on. There can be alerts on when assays are actually complete through email notification. And we can also do off-site registration for samples. So instead of giving users outside of the laboratory access to CCLAS to register their samples, we can register samples outside using an electronic request spreadsheet, which I'll talk about a little bit later on. So benefits for a laboratory. This graph demonstrates the typical time savings for installing CCLAS. So obviously there's a period of setup time, but once you have set up CCLAS, if we look at these general workflow operations that you would see in a laboratory, if these items were to be done via a spreadsheet, you can see from a CCLAS point of view, job registration and data entry takes a lot less time, as does validation, and reporting and invoicing can certainly be automated as well. So the whole idea is if you reduce the time it takes to analyze your samples, that means it's more samples that you can actually analyze in a shorter period of time. So why CCLAS EL Velox? I guess the whole point of us developing the Velox model is to have a low-cost, rapid deployment model that has a pre-configured system for commodity types. So because a lot of our customers, we have a lot of experience with our customers from different commodity types, we know the requirements that our customers ask for time and time again. So we have a number of different models for different commodities pre-configured. So that allows us to deploy it rapidly and keep down the cost of your implementation. So obviously CCLAS was developed from the ground up for the mining and mineral processing industry. Obviously we do have commercial laboratory customers as well. We have in-house resources to deliver our services. We do not subcontract out our implementations, and the reason why we do that is we can ensure the consistency of the delivery of the product across the globe. So our professional services team that look after the implementation to support, a lot of our professional services team do have a chemistry background. They have worked in laboratories before, and this is really important when they come to understand. They need to understand how your laboratory works so we can make sure that the product is configured to suit your workflow operations. So we have a lot of experience with large-scale enterprise LIMS implementations, and obviously we are part of a global mining software company, Taskman, which is providing a focus on solutions to the mining industry. As a long-term outlook, we are putting some more R&D into the CCLAS EL product. So in the future, we'll be, looking at providing web services, a mobile app to register samples, and a lot of new applications inside CCLAS EL. So our current customers will benefit from that. So our customers know that we're experienced and we're reliable. So we're in here for the long term, and we've serviced a lot of our clients over a very long period of time. So as a basic architecture, CCLAS is really quite simple, and this is of benefit to users because you do want a simple system that's robust, that works fast, and is reliable, okay? So from a infrastructure point of view, CCLAS would generally sit on an SQL server. The database sits on an SQL server along with the CCLAS historical database. So as I mentioned before, the CCLAS historical database is where all validated data will be stored. And we then have external systems like Pi and Acquire. Acquire are actually a geological software that's part of the Constellation Software Group, which is Taskman is owned by. So there's a lot of integration that happens through CHD. Very important for production laboratories to have this system. And then we have another server generally that the executable files, the application files are served on, and any scripts that sit on that server as well. So obviously we interface to balancers and instruments. Now it's very important when we integrate with our instruments, we have the sample upload of run lists and the download of that data. So important you have that two-way integration because that certainly saves a lot of time in transferring results to and from instruments. Obviously, CCLAS is installed on workstations, or it can be on Citrix, and remote desktop environments can be installed if CCLAS needs to be used over the internet. So I'm now going to focus on some of the specific items in the Velox model that we do supply standard as part of the Velox implementation. So we have an automatic sample registration system we called stream registration for routine samples. So for production laboratories, when you have the same samples for the same analysis at the same time, these are automatically registered along with the paperwork that saves the laboratory personnel a lot of time in doing these manually. We also have an automatic registration module that we can register samples from files. So like from external systems like the Acquire system that I've mentioned before, it can produce a list of geology samples. We can register that in CCLAS, analyze those samples, and then export them to a CSV, or Acquire can then get that information from CHD as well. Now, our electronic request spreadsheet is a Excel spreadsheet where external users can register their samples, pick the analysis that they want, and then this spreadsheet will then send an XML file which CCLAS can pick up, register those samples, and then the results can be sent back to the original client. So the whole idea of this is so that you don't have users outside the laboratory tying up licenses in the system. We do have a faster system now for producing paperwork, which also includes barcoding. We have a system to track your sample preparation status. So if you're milling your samples, grinding your samples, riffling your samples, you can track that status in CCLAS. Now, as I mentioned, when we do instrument integration, it's upload and download. So we have a big library of common instruments that we use. So essentially, from the Velox point of view, all we need to do, laboratories have obviously different instruments. All we need to do is configure the library of the scripts that we have to your specific instruments that you have in your laboratory. Now, we also have automatic lab batching, so you can automatically lab batch samples of the same type of analysis together from multiple jobs. And we also have the ability for you to define different QC racks, which allow you to have different QCs for different types of concentrations of samples. We have a large library of data manipulation scripts that are common across a lot of our users, so that's part of the Velox package. Now, we also have this secure hierarchical sample validation. So what that means is you may have an analyst that goes ahead and does the analysis and then can check their samples. That will then go up to the next level. It might be a chemist or a QC person that checks the QC of the samples. And then from there, it might go to another level where it'll be reporting. Now, if you don't have that type of requirement for sample validation, obviously it can be customized to suit your needs. But the important of this level is that once an analyst checks their samples, they can't go back and edit those results. And the same can be said of once the samples are validated and reported, people can't go back unless you're a top level user, can you view and change those results. Very important for data security. As I mentioned, the CCLAS historical database is where we do a lot of interfacing for our external systems like Pi and Acquire. We also produce an SSRS production report. If you don't have a reporting system, we can produce a report of the laboratory results that you can then publish to your plant systems. Now, we also have an automatic QC report module, and what that does is for your QC chemists that need to produce monthly reports for statistics and for graphing, you can produce them automatically on a schedule instead of doing them manually. It saves a lot of time for the QC chemists. Automatic SPC, SPC stands for Statistical Process Control, and that is a module inside CCLAS. And a lot of our customers put that module on a big screen TV where a lot of the data analysis is put in. And what the automatic SPC module does is when it views your quality control samples, and when your quality control samples are analyzed, that automatically gets updated in real time. And what the automatic QC does is it brings the most recent standard to the front so you can view those and keep an eye on the quality control in your laboratory. Now, automatic instrument maintenance and calibration schedules, you can set instrument maintenance and calibrations like balance or instrument calibrations that are required on a daily, monthly, yearly schedule. You can set those up and see the history of those, and a report can be produced when they are due. We also have automatic consumable management, and what that allows you to do is once you set up your consumables in your laboratory and how much each scheme uses each consumable, when those samples are analyzed, CCLAS subtracts those from your stock levels, and then it will warn you when you get below your minimum level so you can order some more consumables. For those laboratories that do invoicing, we've automated that process, so it's a lot quicker to do your invoicing as well as any revenue reporting. Now, sample storage tracking. So for those laboratories that need to store samples for a set period of time, we have a sample storage tracking module. And what happens is sometimes laboratories need to go back and find those samples to reanalyze them. And this module allows you to easily find where those samples are stored. We also have a staff training module, so you can track inside CCLAS the training that users have done for specific instruments or specific analysis, and then those users can only access those schemes that they have been specifically trained for, and when their training is due, a report can also be produced to warn you of the training requirements. We also have a laboratory message board. So that allows you to view any messages, any laboratory managers that want to tell their chemists about various things that are happening in the laboratory, or the supervisors, that can be put on an electronic message board, and the history of that can be seen throughout the laboratory. We can create automatic status reports, so laboratory managers can view the status of their jobs and samples, whether they've been registered, started, validated, reported, invoiced, etc. And then we also have a standard KPI dashboard that a laboratory manager can view the status of their samples in the system. So obviously CCLAS has a lot of standard applications to set up your clients and standards and methods and staff, etc. And then you then go ahead and analyze those samples. And we have basically one of the most important applications of CCLAS is Taskman. So it is the brains behind CCLAS that automates a lot of the operations. So what that does for you is if you maximize the amount of automation in the laboratory, it maximizes the time it saves you to do your analysis, which is very important. And obviously, across all these applications, we have auditability, very important for accreditation purposes. So from a CCLAS Velox implementation process, we generally come to site and do configuration training, or you can come to the office to do training for CCLAS. And then we provide assistance to you to configure that system. So the reason why we do that is a couple of reasons. First is you actually learn the system when you're configuring CCLAS to suit your laboratory. You create ownership of it, and because you're configuring the system, if we were to do that ourselves, it would increase the cost. So by you configuring the system, it reduces the cost of the implementation. So in the build phase, our technical people work on any instrument interface or any customization that you're required to do. We then go and do the factory testing in our office, and then we come to site and do the user testing with your instruments and balancers, hook them all up, make sure the system is operating efficiently. Then we go ahead and do a go live, so we're on site while you start registering your samples and inputting results from your balance and your instruments, and then we leave site and provide go live support from our office to make sure everything is running smoothly. And then at the end, when we hand the project over to our support team, we produce an as-built document which explains to you how CCLAS is configured to your site, and also very important for our support team when they support you in the future going forward, they understand how your system is configured. Now, I have mentioned our normal process is to come to site to do an implementation. Now, given our current climate at the moment with the coronavirus, we can do implementations remotely. We have done that before. So if that's something you are interested in doing, we can do implementations remotely in this time. Okay, here's a list of some of our current customers. You may recognize many of those brands. And obviously CCLAS has been around for a long time. We're, 30 plus years of development across 350 sites, 75 countries in the world, and 6,000 plus users. Now, I don't show you these customers and these statistics to impress you, but it's really just to impress upon you the importance to selecting a LIMS provider that you can trust. Now, if you do want a demo of the Velox motor for your specific commodity, please do contact me on that phone number listed 0434315477, or the email address dion.borg@dataminesoftware.com. I'll be happy to arrange something for you. Thank you very much for your attendance, and if you have any questions about the CCLAS Velox model, please don't hesitate to contact me. Thank you for your time.